Welcome back, Platterheads. This is Chef Nikhil from the Urban Platter Kitchen, and I have a very special recipe for you today. More than a recipe, it's a technique that is sort of a lost Italian art nowadays. Pesto is rarely made in a mortar and pestle nowadays since we have the ease of blenders, and that's what this video is all about, is how to use this mortar and pestle to make a deliciously creamy, bright green and super fresh basil pesto for you to add to your pastas, pizzas or whatever else you like to add your pesto to. So before we go into the recipe, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button so that you don't miss such informative videos from the Urban Platter team. So let's get cooking. This Italian marble mortar and the wooden pestle is a perfect contraption to make a basil pesto, as it helps to not bruise the basil leaves as much, keeping that bright green color in your pesto. The first step here is to add about 4 cloves of garlic into the mortar along with coarse Arabian sea salt, which will then get pounded to get all of those essential oils out from the garlic. This circular motion that I am doing with this pestle is going to be the common trend throughout this recipe, as once the basil goes in, this circular motion and not this pounding motion is going to help us retain that bright green color for the basil. As you can see, we have created a nice sort of a paste because the salt is acting as an abrasive for the garlic, making a nice salty garlic paste. And now the next step will be to add our pine nut. Now that our pine nuts have been added into the mortar along with our garlic and salt mixture, I am going to create a nice smooth and fine paste along with these pine nuts. I'll be starting with a pounding action and then moving on to the circular motion to give us a nice smooth paste with these pine nuts. What's pesto without some Parmesan cheese? Thanks to the team here at Urban Platter, we now have the ability to use vegan Parmesan cheese to make a completely vegan pesto. And now we continue our circular motion to get a nice paste. Now that the basil has gone in, we have to use a careful combination of pounding and the circular motion as well, because we don't want to bruise the basil too much. We want it to create a homogenized mixture along with the pine nuts, the cheese, the garlic and the salt. You might be wondering why this mortar has this weird shape with these prongs coming on the outside. That's actually for you to hold down as you rotate the mortar as you are pounding anything that you're doing. Because rotating it makes sure that everything gets pounded and pestled easily and evenly as well. So using this mortar and pestle has given us this nice and creamy sort of a base. And now the last step is to add our extra virgin olive oil, which is also going to preserve the color of the basil, as olive oil is an antioxidant and we don't want these leaves to oxidize. So the olive oil is always the last step when you're making a pesto from scratch in a mortar and pestle. Once the oil has been added in, we are almost done. You can see how the texture of the pesto has already begun to change a little bit. I'm just going to go in the circular motion for about a minute or so, because the oil actually helps you grind the basil leaves down a little bit more. Now that our hand pounded basil pesto is ready, I'm going to turn it into a delicious pesto pasta. But we're not going to be making it in a pan, as we want to preserve that color of the pesto. So I have some freshly cooked spaghetti over here that I'm going to add into this bowl. So now that our pasta is ready, I can't get enough of this pesto, so I'm just going to drizzle a little bit more on top, because who doesn't love some fresh hand pounded pesto?